Wonderful.
Learn more at covid19.ga.gov.
Hey, this is Rick Kennedy. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Merrill, a Bank of America company.
Lakers learn overtime penalty. The Pelicans on the Walker surgically repaired knee. UCLA's Jordan Childs helped lead the USA women's gymnastics team to a sixth straight world championship and locks up the American spot at the 2024 Paris Olympics. I'm Trey Bender with Merrill. The Bull always has your back. Learn more at mlm.com. Bullish.
6 straight.
That's
a lot.
Smith Incorporated, registered broker dealer, registered investment advisor, member SIPC.
Do you hear what I hear? It's the sound of exclusive offers mingling from the ViralRabbi Holiday Workshop. This November, ViralRabbi is teaming up with iHeartRadio to bring you a special holiday edition of the Blue Envelope. Together, we're giving you an easy-to-scan QR code to stream all your favorite holiday tunes through the iHeartRadio app. Plus, check your envelope to see if our elves have snuck a $100 check inside. Dash to the mailbox for your ViralRabbi envelope. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. See specially marked ViralRabbi envelopes or ViralRabbi.com for details.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
Donate your shit today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hello, I'm John McClain, founder of Riverhill Money and Air. Last week we found a leak from my furnace that could have filled my son's room with carbon monoxide.
Were you trying to kill him?
It was a reminder to me that regular service gear furnace.
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is sponsored by Cards Against Humanity, and they asked us not to read an ad, but they do want you to enjoy the show. Hi, sir. Welcome to Bass Pro Shops. My name's Kevin. How can I help you? Hello, Kevin. It's nice to meet you. My name is Jeff. Yes, you're right. I am Marcos. I would like to return this product purchased, opened, checked and used. Okay, sir. That shouldn't be a problem. Do you have a receipt for that? Didn't keep the receipt, mate. Didn't think I'd need it. Didn't realise I was being lied to by your company. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Can you tell me how my company lied to you? Oh, how indeed, my friend. It's right here on box. Bird call. I tried it. No birds. I mean, there I was. Opened up, a little bit of a gift for myself. A Christmas present. Sir, it's not even Christmas yet. Still, side point. It was a Christmas present for me. Oh, completely understood, sir. Let me check this out here and just see real quick what might be wrong with it here. Right. Now tell me, Kevin, look around. How many ladies are approaching you right now? Well, sir, I don't see many ladies. I don't see any ladies here. That's right. Call, sir. That's what you keep telling me. That's why I'm on it. I want to get me some birds. Bring them into my home. Celebrate the reason for the season, as it were. Well, I'm sorry, I don't directly understand what you're talking about here, but this seems to be in working order, and I don't think I can. Is it, Kevin? Is it working? Yes, sir. Is it working for you right now, Kevin? Guess I'm looking around. All I see around here is those two blokes over there having a cheese sandwich. Well, sir, I'm sorry, but unless there's a defect with this, and the defect is that it doesn't call birds. There's no women around here. Wait, did you say women? What do you think I've been talking about here? Oh, yes. Oh, no, it's Christmas. I'd love to buy an animal called reconnaissance. Okay, understandable, as I am technically an animal. Perhaps that would be something I'm into. But I'm looking for birds, sexy ladies. Okay, sir. Well, this is Bass Pro Shops, and we don't sell. What that? There's a bee at the front? Well, yes. Oh, Jeff, you've done it again. Oh, cheeky Jeff. I'll tell you what, sir. Classic misunderstanding is what this is, eh? I'll tell you what. I hate to put anybody out on Christmas. Oh, I appreciate that. But what I can do, just since you don't have a receipt, and we never want to see a dissatisfied customer here at Bass Pro Shop. What I'm prepared to I'll do a straight up exchange. How about we offer you this vial of muskrat scent?
Vial of muskrat, give it over. Can't imagine. Just can't imagine why I'd like to even have. Who wants muskrat?
Muskrat scent is very good at attracting.
Give it right now. I'll take it. Oh, Jeff likes this. Jeff likes this very much. Oh, I say, hello, who's this over here? I didn't see you standing there. Yeah, I just come over here. I've got me my little vial of scent. Do you enjoy it? It's a rich musk. I say, you and I just get right to it, my plastic beauty. Shut up, mate!
That's mandatory. You should be doing that at Bass Pro Shop.
You can't stop all chat, mate! Bass, Smith,
Jeff in the throes of passion.
Merry Christmas!
Hello, hey everybody. I'm David Flora.
And I am the third gift of the Magi. That's a bottle of David Sense.
Oh,
David Sense and Steckles.
should have been a gift of common sense. Oh, all right. Thank you, comedian Alex Jones.
Yeah, I don't even know what that was supposed to be.
That was his early days, probably. Well, hi everybody, and I hope you're doing well.
Yes, I hope you had a wonderful. I hope you enjoyed Christmas nearly as much as our friend Jeff.
That's right. And it was the best Christmas to date.
And I think that, well, the time this thing drops, we're going to be just right up against Christmas.
Yup.
So, Merry Christmas from Blurry Photos.
That's right. If you don't celebrate Christmas, then happy Thursday.
Then just stop being fuzzy about it. Happy holidays.
Well, I'll tell you what. This will be our last subject episode for 2015.
That's right. Closing out our 4th calendar year.
2012 is when we started.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes. So you count 12. 4th calendar year.
Crazy.
Good job.
We've got a good full stone plan for next week, but as far as subject matter goes, this will be the last one, and I think it's a doozy.
It is a doozy.
A doozy. This will be fun because it spans so many crazy things that we love to talk about.
It is. We had this kind of fun. I don't think we've ever had this discussion before where I was like, I don't know, Flora. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be like a full episode. And Flora was like, are you kidding? I don't know how we're going to fit it all in. And I realized that we were coming at it from 2 different perspectives because this episode is so full of wild, just delicious conjectures.
Wild stuff.
Yes. Yes, the floodgates are open, and we're just gonna sit back and you know what, guys, we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. We're just gonna really enjoy ourselves.
Yeah. It's a great, crazy ass story, and this one was a listener suggestion. Sort of a listener. Listener Anthony posted this on the Facebook page, and we just kind of fell in love with the crazy ass nature of the story.
With this adorable little weirdo of a story.
We think you'll like it too, because tonight we're talking about Mel's Hole.
So Mel's Hole, it's a hole in the ground.
Oh yeah.
In the Pacific Northwest in Washington, to be specific. And this whole thing is fairly recent. Aside from say Lisa Lamb or maybe Slenderman, we don't get a lot of things from like the last 20 years on our podcast.
Yeah. And maybe by the end of this, you'll probably see why.
That will become so clear. But this whole thing kicked up in 1997.
This whole thing.
It kicked up in 1997 in such a wonderful place. If there is a patron saint of Fortiana, that wouldn't be Charles Fortiana.
it would of the new millennium's patron saint of the unexplained is Art Bell, without question. Yeah, Coast to Coast was an amazing show. I don't feel like I don't think it's like terrible now, but like the Art Bell years, I strung up an extra antenna. I used to have a basement apartment in college, right actually at the exact time that this whole thing kicked up. I had to like run wires out to make sure I could get the AM signal, and I just had it playing in my room all the time. Like, I studied this stuff. I love Coast to Coast.
It was a show. It is a show. It was a show that came on later in the evening, right?
Yeah, like, and I don't know if it was, no, because it was a live college show, so it was happening live, right? I mean, I don't know what that was.
It was live, but
Yeah, it was late night. I mean, like 1 a.m.
right. Yeah, that's what I mean. And a AM show where they would have guests on to talk about weird, wild stuff. They'd have callers in, and that's like you said, Fortiana, just talked about on the radio and stuff. And Art Bell loved that stuff. He loved listening to people. He's got a new thing going now. I think he's got his own show again.
Well, yeah, and
It's not Coast to Coast.
I haven't heard her yet. And I mean, things got real weird with him for a while. He was off again, on again. There was some stuff with his family. Like, I don't even know the details. I just know, like, there was definitely a golden age. Well, the fall.
And this was towards the middle of that, because it lasted for a little while. But Mel's Hole, man, we're going to talk about the story behind it. Never mind that.
You're right.
Now, some people would consider it folklore. Some people would consider it an urban legend. Some would say it's an incredible assemblage of the world's finest, choicest, first-rate bullshit.
Oh, it's rich. There's some notes of leather, coffee. You're gonna get a little
Asphalt.
You're gonna get some pepper on the palate with that rich, loamy bullshit.
Loamy. That's a good one. Well, whatever it is, it's a hell of a fascinating story that sticks its feet in multiple buckets of Fortiana.
Yeah,
And it's the perfect subject for us to end the year on, I think.
I think so too.
To get into an overview here, as you were doing or trying to do before I stopped you.
Yeah, I was not gonna land that plane. I was gonna bail out.
D.B. Cooper it. Yeah. The world first learned of Mel's Hole from a phone call to Art Bell on Coast to Coast AM in 1997.
And the world first heard of Mel's Hole. Can we, as an audience, can we all just acknowledge the fact that it sounds like we're describing a dude named Mel's butt? Just saying. That's it. Moving on.
So what unfolded was a saga of paranormal, conspiracy, spiritual, and ufology proportions. A fella going by the name of Mel Waters told of a strange hole on his property that was, by all accounts, bottomless.
Yep.
It was used as a trash dump by locals, but it never filled up. In fact, nothing could be heard hitting bottom. That wasn't all, though. The hole had supernatural properties as well.
Oh yeah. It wasn't enough that it reached to infinity and then to beyond that, because that wouldn't be enough. I mean, if you just found a bottomless hole, you wouldn't color a bill with that. You wouldn't waste his time.
Right.
No, there has to be more to it.
Animals refused to go near it. A hunter disposed of a dead dog in the hole, only to see the dog running through the woods later. Fishing line was dropped into the hole and never hit bottom.
Wait, rephrase that, because it just sounds like you just took a reel of it. Just like,
Probably tried it.
yeah, probably. Well, yeah, they said that like there were some weird sound properties that like they never hear anything hit the bottom, but you wouldn't hear anything hit the sides either. Sounds like my ex-wife. Come on, guys, there's gonna be a lot of those jokes, so just buckle up and Merry Christmas. I hope Grandma's in the car for this.
Here's one last piece of factoid for you to chomp on. A black beam of shadow is said to be seen emanating from it sometimes.
Yeah, the anti-light shaft that would shoot out of it. And what I love about this is that, like, people, not just our guy here, but other people, which we'll get to, they're like, oh, yeah, and sometimes just the black beam would shoot up out of the hole. As though no one was going to say shit about it, but since you're asking, I guess I'll mention it.
Dry fuss. What? Damn right. Listeners and Art Bell were intrigued, albeit a little skeptical. But that was that for the initial story. Now, Waters spoke on Coast to Coast several more times between then and 2002, relating more of his stories as his quote-unquote experiences grew. And we're going to go into those experiences in detail in a bit. Oh, it gets good.
Spoilers, he needed a passport. Yeah, there was international flights involved. That's how serious can get.
More reports of strange bottomless holes started coming out after that, which we'll also discuss.
Oh yeah, it's not just Mel's hole that you have to deal with. You also have to deal with the Basque hole. You also got to deal with Kimberly's hole.
That's right.
Yeah, so just know, if you want to get into this mystery, then you got to get into 3 separate holes.
Especially the Basque hole. Believe that? You are a Basque.
This is glorious.
All right, let's get into the details of this nutty narration.
Yeah.
So go down through a timeline. We'll go into some detail with this stuff. In February 1997, man faxed a story. Faxed 97.
Faxed it. That's like practically teleportation.
Faxed a story to Coast AM. Said his name was Mel Waters from Manassas, Washington. Art Bell called Waters, who claimed to be, at the time, in nearby Ellensburg, Washington. And Waters said there was a bottomless pit on his land. He had bought the property a few years prior, knew there was a pit on it wherein locals would dump garbage, but it never filled up. He explained that no sound came from the hole when something was dropped in it. No splash, no thump, no splock, no biff, no shunk, not even an echo.
What about a crackle?
Crackle? No. Shit. I knew
That was my ace in the hole. That was my secret.
Worthless.
That was my secret sound.
Got dropped. But you might go with Zapf.
Bamf.
Bamf. The pit was about 9 foot in diameter and had a stone retaining wall around it. It was about 3.5 feet thick, extending down about 15 feet below the surface. You think about that? You thinking about that?
Yeah, it means that people worked around it.
Right, yeah. It seems like a well, almost.
Right.
Mel told of a neighbor who had a hunting dog die and decided to dispose of its body via the hole.
Which is a shitty way to honor your dog.
Yeah. Throwing him down the trash hole.
Yeah, don't throw your dog down the trash hole. You deserve to be haunted by that dog, you piece of shit.
On a later hunting trip, the neighbor had the same dog come back to him, complete with collar, running through the woods, and very much alive.
Did he keep the dog, or did the dog just come by, bite him, and leave?
Yes.
What's going to get me 17 seconds more airtime on Art Bell?
Waters explained that animals were scared of the hole and wouldn't go near it. Dogs would resist being pulled toward it even.
Okay. I'd resist being pulled towards a hole.
A hole, right? Have you just seen a fellow dog being thrown down?
Yeah, right. There's a dog running through the woods going, stay away from the hole.
So, Waters said he was a former shark fisherman and decided to see if he could gauge the depth of the hole and if there was maybe water at the bottom.
And perhaps sharks.
Using fishing line and lifesaver candy. He lowered a line down 1,500 feet, and he had a lifesaver tied to the end of it. And what he was trying to do was to see if the lifesaver would dissolve, because if it did, then there was water down there. Okay, and that would at least put a piece of the puzzle in place, I guess. Yeah. Well, he left it long enough for it to dissolve, and then he brought it back up, and the candy was still there. But now it was haunted. He then lowered a 1 pound weight down, and when he got to the end of the spool, he tied another line to it and kept lowering. He did this over and over, and apparently used 18 reels of 5,000 foot, 20 pound test line. And he claimed to have used 80,000 feet of fishing line.
Now, my first question is this. He used 18 spools, 20 pound test line. He's already got a 5 pound weight on there.
He's got 1 pound weight.
1 pound weight. Oh, okay. They don't know how much each spool weighed. Right, it comes a point where the weight of the line itself.
That's right, RJ physicist. Third? Are you the third? Second? Junior?
Junior just second, my dear boy.
RJ physicist.
Junior.
Yeah, this went down over 15 miles, Broseph, into the earth, and no bottom.
Okay.
Nope, folks started calling in, questioning the story already.
No way! 15 miles.
15 miles. Some said that maybe the line had hit bottom, but remained taut of its own weight, or that the line would have snapped under its own weight.
Oh, I'm not the only guy in the physics family.
That's right, you've got a cousin, TJ, physicist.
He's got a mustache.
Some suggested using radar on it. Another said throw a cat down there. What? They wanted to throw a cat in there, and when it stopped screaming, that's when you knew it hit bottom.
Jesus Christ! What?
Well, a cat is lifesavers didn't do it, dude.
All right, okay. Here's your holiday T-shirt bumper sticker. A cat is not a diagnostic tool. Okay, a cat is not how you gain information about the world around you.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Oh no, I'm definitely way more in the dog camp, but I like kitties. Don't throw a kitty in a hole.
Art Bell suggested lowering a person in, not throwing them, but lowering.
Yes, thank you, Art.
But
Should that person be holding a cat just to keep them calm?
Waters didn't know what they would find and said it would be dangerous because didn't know what the air quality was like, pressure. You might have to deal with temperature, gases that you wouldn't even.
What about glow sticks? Glow stick.
That's a good question. I don't think I remember them saying what all trash they threw down in there because I think people tested it here and there. They would throw shit in there and then they'd be like, "Ooh, do you hear anything? I don't hear anything. Oh, let's get something else."
Right. So, I would throw a glow stick in.
Or flashlight if there's
or maybe something that was just emitting a consistent ding tone, just like dude. Drop that thing down there.
Sure. Well, Waters did say that he
just saying those offer more information than a cat.
Oh, sure. He's saying, I don't know.
You've made your feelings clear, Stecco, but if we go to the hole, I'm bringing a cat.
Waters did say that he'd jump in it himself if he had a terminal illness, and that it was in his will to have his body thrown in after death. Art expressed concern about polluting groundwater from all the garbage and stuff that was being thrown in it, but Waters dismissed the notion. He said everything was good to go still. The water was clean and pure.
No, based on nothing. Based on going, nah, bruh, it's too much fun to throw shit in this hole, so it's fine.
Yeah, bruh, I drink Pepsi every day, but the water's cool, yeah. He was back on the show a few days after that, answering some more questions and such. But some things that listeners found out about Mel Waters. He grew medicinal herbs on his property. He had a hobby of making belt buckles, which he sold here and there, which is
against all better common sense will come back at some point in this episode, right? Which I'm offended that that's something that comes back, but yes, Bell's belt buckles provide an important clue.
Yeah, he once found a P-38 pistol on the property.
Oh, I thought you meant fighter plane.
Wow.
No, apparently it was a Nazi gun.
Yeah, the Walther P-38 is the officer's sidearm.
Yes, remember when I was like, "Hey, dog."
And he gave that away to a landlord as a deposit.
Jeez, Brett. I know weird shit happens in Washington State. I know things get goofy in different areas, but if you're a landlord and the guy's offering you a gun he found as a deposit, red flag. Red flag.
Nazi gun. Apparently he had found a Chinese New Year's Lucky Money envelope that contained American dimes, which he used in some of his homemade belt buckles. And he had apparently put a metal lid over the hole locked it.
I'm looking at this lucky money thing. Oh, yeah, you put money in a red envelope, and it's lucky money.
There you go.
Okay, all right.
So that was kind of the initial barrage of this story, and it really sparked of interest in this.
Yeah, sure did.
Sure did.
I mean, it's not unlike Star Wars. The initial trilogy, was an interesting story. It was entertaining. And so the guy who made it up decided to give people more of what they wanted.
And so he returned as a guest in April of 2000, and his story had expanded.
Much like the Star Wars expanded universe that Dark Mark so loves talking about.
According to him, after the initial broadcast, he returned to the hole one day and was stopped by 3 men, one in plain clothes and 2 in military uniforms, claiming to be government agents. They told him he could not enter his property due to a plane crash. Waters said there was no smoke or evidence of such, and the men warned him that if he didn't leave, a drug lab could easily be found on his land. Okay. Waters claimed to see men in yellow hazmat suits in the background. The men, the 3 that stopped him, then offered Waters a deal. If he leased the land to the government, they would give him a monthly stipend of, how much, Dave?
$250,000
A month. Per month. But there was a condition. He would have to leave the country immediately. After what was probably, 3 seconds, he was like, yes, please. And he was relocated to Australia.
Where this guy, who used to be a shark hunter, but then was an inland landowner, belt buckle manufacturer, decides, hey, you know what I really need to do? I need to make a difference. You know what needs help? Wombats.
That's right. He set up a wombat rescue research clinic while there. Clinic facility, whatever.
To rescue and research wombats.
Now, I guess Art Bell claimed or confirmed that he had correspondence with Mel while he was in Australia, or that he was in Australia at some point during that time frame. This was March of 97 to December of 99. And all the while, remember, he's getting paid $250,000 every month. But what happens, Dave?
Well,
poor Mel.
yeah, Mel decides it's time to come back home.
He's a little homesick.
Decides, you know what? I can't live this lie any longer of being paid $250,000 a month to fuck with wombats in Australia. So he comes back home to the United States and says, guess what? Where's Daddy's home? That's right, federal government agents. We got to deal with Mel Waters.
This, however, was against the wishes of whatever agency was leasing this land.
But, I mean, they, while disappointed, were cool with it. No, they weren't.
No. So he was on a bus going to Olympia, Washington, when he witnessed what's described as an altercation.
Mel, I make $250,000 a month, was on the bus.
Took a Greyhound. The police asked him for a statement because he was a witness, I guess, but he refused, and then they offered to give him a ride in their black van.
Well, I mean, what good is it being an international, rich playboy who loves animals if you can't trust someone in a black van?
Right. Well, then he claims to have woken up in a San Francisco alley, badly beaten.
The classic San Francisco alley problem.
And he had a couple of his molars missing. Claimed there was evidence that he had been hooked up to an IV, and his belt buckle, stolen.
They stole his belt buckle? Why?
You can imagine him, like, waking up, he's feeling, he doesn't have teeth, he's got track marks on his arm, he stands up, and his pants just...
Like, that's not enough. And he probably just stared at him around his ankle, just...
A garbage truck drives by and splashes him. But, doesn't end there, Dave. Worse yet, his bank account had been wiped clean.
Oh, no.
And the Wombat Rescue Facility was dismantled.
and the people who work there disassembled to put in crates.
So he finally gets back home, and he's greeted by, according to him, men in black types who told him the government was seizing his land. A neighbor claimed to have seen black vans outside his home and men ransacking it. And he then got served divorce papers and was diagnosed with esophageal cancer.
In what order?
That order. I mean, it was one thing after another. Still didn't have his pants on.
Yeah, still,
Solid lead from.
Yeah, won't pull him up. He's just shuffling around.
So, what's he do, Dave?
Well, he gives up. He gives up, right?
He sure doesn't.
Oh, yes, that's the can-do attitude.
He gives old Art Bell a call.
Well, that's what you have to do. When
If anybody
anybody
can help you.
Well, yeah. When all else fails, call Art Bell. Well,
2002, Waters tracked down a man who'd purchased one of his belt buckles a few years back. How?
no, it was on the belt buckle forums. The Reddit channel for artisanal belt buckles.
Missed belt connections.
Right.
According to him, one of the dimes he used in this belt buckle that he made was minted prior to when the rest of dimes of that era were minted.
So it's a Roosevelt. It's a 1943 or 44. One of those two. 1940. Let's just say it's 43. If I'm wrong, shut up. Just shut up. Merry Christmas. Shut up.
We don't undercut it.
It's a 1943 Roosevelt dime, and one of the every coin struck has a single letter that indicates the city in which it was made. There's a mint in Denver, so you can see lots of quarters and stuff with a B on them.
Philadelphia has one, I think.
And
E on it. E.
so he's got this dime, and it's a 43 Roosevelt with a B. The letter B is in Bravo. Now, the thing is this: there's no mint in a city that starts with B. And there was never a Roosevelt dime made in 1943. Yes, my numismatics have always closely observed the coins in my belt buckles. At the point of purchase, once they're attached to my pants, I can no longer see them.
Sometimes they fuse themselves into my body proper. This is mine, dime. You can't have it.
The point is this: there's a mystery with these dimes that he used to make belt buckles with. Now all the belt buckles are coming home to roost.
Here's the deal: Treasury Department confiscated the coin.
What?
Apparently, the guy that he had talked to about it, he wanted it back from him, and the guy was like, "Yeah, let me think about it." And the Treasury Department was like, "Excuse me, sir, that's ours." Well, that's what he said. That's what he said. That's what he said.
You can't mess with the Treasury Department. Those guys are so serious.
He also pointed out that if you were to look at what was called the online Terra server, which was supposed to be like Google Earth back in the day.
Oh, right. Yeah, all the satellites. Yes, satellite images.
That his land had been removed. Yeah, that's what I said. And I think I don't know if he gave coordinates or somehow they got coordinates, and I'm going to link to it in the show notes because I've looked at this myself. I'll bring it up. I'll circle back to it a little bit later. But around then, Art Bell says that a TV crew once investigated Mel's former land and found evidence of a military presence there.
What would that evidence be? Tank treads?
Tank treads? I don't know.
Discarded gas masks?
Alien footprints. Well, there's some kind of military installation that's not far from there, but I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. Fart. And this is when we hear about the occasional black anti-light beam that shoots into the sky near the hole.
Right. Yes. The shadow shaft.
The shaft of
anti-light murder
shadows.
Dear God, what?
There's it's just sort of random information at this point.
Now, at this point, things get.
At this point, are your pants on still?
have you found the self-esteem to bend over and pull your damn pants back up?
You're just so defeated by this. You're just like, it's like somebody stole your belt buckle.
Am I watching about 25 years?
So now we're gonna add another layer, another valence orbit to this conjecture. Let's make this thing unstable. Right. Okay. So now it's time for the word of truckers. Trucker. Well, you know what though? Truckers' word. To me, good as gold. No joke. Trucker's word. I feel like a trucker's word you can trust. Hey, you're looking at me weird. I'm serious though. It's honest folk. I feel like the trucker is the last person you can trust, because they are just never in the same place twice. They're constantly on what they're hauling. Never trust a trucker. Never trust a trucker. Thus started the trucker wars of 2016. These trucker wars.
That looks like
Write
that
us in.
fucking thing in
Let us
KFC.
know. I know we've got some trucker
Like that
listeners.
version?
Yeah. Somebody's written into us before, and I said, hey, glad to have you. So I'm not disparaging the truckers.
Don't stand it.
I'm just saying,
You took my number.
don't trust them. They're constantly on the move. They're rambling men and ladies. Yeah. All right, so now it's time for the trucker report. Okay, we got one trucker that says that
I'm on this thing with something?
he's a friend of Mel's, said that he had delivered large quantities of fiber optic equipment to a group of Israelis in a warehouse in Ellensburg, right? Yeah, in Ellensburg. And drive us, what? Come on! And another drive us, come on! Gotcha. Another trucker who Mel's friends with. Mel knows a lot of truckers. Well, sure. You got rides with him. Yeah, said that he delivered scientific instruments to the same warehouse from the LLNL, which stands for Lovely Ladies Need Lovins. Lovely Ladies do need lovins. Am I right? That's the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. Lawrence Livermore. Lawrence Livermore's got himself a little lab concern going.
That's a good one. I gotta get that voice.
Equipment delivered. Gunslinger Texas to Ellensburg, Washington. And don't stop along the way. Those truckers, you can't trust them. Deliver this to Mel's home right away. Damn, I love that voice. And they do some military research. So Mel's Trucker Network is checking in, and they're just calling him constantly to be like, I delivered a whole lot of produce to a grocery store in Ellensburg. Almost to shooters. Yeah, so now there's more people getting in on the circus. And now here's the other thing is that I listened to a few of these audio tapes, the Art Bell shows, but I certainly didn't listen to all of them. And so now we're just kind of, the thing is, not like any of it could be corroborated, but the fun of this episode is that we are not getting closer to the truth, people. We are in a rocket ship headed further and further out to space. So just strap in for what is a wild ride. That's right. We'll wake you up when we get to the Kuiper Belt. Yeah. So then a group of Native Americans invite Mel to Nevada to discuss their mutual interest in wild plants. Because Mel's also known in the Native American community because he had an herb garden. Oh, yeah, he had the medicinal herbs. Yeah. This is a bit of a linchpin in the story. An interesting place to put a linchpin, launch pad, if you will, and other LP words. But like Native Americans tell him to come down to Nevada to talk with them. But then he meets up with some Basque settlers, and this was these are from the Basque region of Spain, right? That had been there apparently since the 1800s, which is particularly weird because it so far predates the Spanish Civil War, right? But I mean, I would think that the Basque region in Nevada probably pretty similar actually in climate.
No, it's not near as
I
much as
think,
ridiculous shit.
but better than
That'd
Barcelona.
that's where they would start.
What about Toledo? But these settlers, who there weren't many of them, I don't think, and they weren't very well off. No. But the deal was, he met up with them, and their village apparently surrounded another hole that was not unlike the one he had. and they considered it a spiritual place. But unlike his, their hole had a metal rim that was 2 feet wide, 2 feet tall, and lined the interior of the hole as far down as you can see. Okay, so not stone, this one's metal, and not too dissimilar from his hole. It cancels out sound above, within, and on the metal rim. And for a kicker, it also produced a field of warmth. What? I think you mean dry fuss? Right. You bought stock for this.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, buy dry fuss stuff.
So they decided to do some experiments, which, hey, I'm all for that. Go for it. See what you can find out. So the first thing they did, apparently, they got some ice down at the store. They put it in a bucket.
Eating
They
that
actually
blue
put 2 pieces of ice in
tasted
2
like an
separate
old
buckets.
woman.
One of them they kept beside them on the surface.
It looks like
After they lowered down into the hole
something like
as far as they could, about 1,500 feet.
This is kind of a weird experiment to run, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like idiocy. It just seems like a weird choice. Yeah, what they were doing was to see what would happen to the ice in the bucket that they lowered compared to what happened with the ice on the surface. So if they would melt at the same rate, right, or if there was any difference, well, they waited for the ice in the bucket beside them to melt about halfway. They pulled the other one back up, and they looked at them. The ice in the pit that they lowered down had not melted.
Nope, intact.
In fact, the ice was apparently
crucify you.
Yeah, it is no longer cold ice. It's now warm ice. And also, watch out if you smoke near it.
Mel picked it up, and it didn't even melt sitting in his hands. In fact, it felt warm. So they decided to give it another go to try melting the ice. And they put it over a fire pit, and instead of melting, it caught on fucking fire.
So exposure to the hole is now, liberating the
Oh, so you done?
hydrogen in it.
Would that even keep it molecularly sound? Like,
It wouldn't.
yeah.
Yo.
So this ice lit on fire emitted more warmth,
this
but
pillow is so cold.
they said it wasn't a large
Yeah,
flame,
but
it was more
both
like a
sides of your
flicker.
pillow is cold.
And he said that this bucket of ice continued to
Hey,
burn for months, and he presumed that it was still going when he was talking to Art.
Yeah, because he said, his friend had the bucket, right? So, my friend was using this to heat his house.
One of the Basque guys took it.
Yeah, he's been using it to heat his house. A good friend of his. I'd like to take this over here to say, fuck you, Mel Waters. That makes no damn sense. And I don't mean on the very legit grounds of science that are involved. I don't on any of that. I have a bucket of burning ice. Well, I use it to try to keep the driveway clear. Put it back in the bucket, and I just,
Technically.
like I love it. Like, I found a laser gun. I use it only to light birthday candles. No, I have a time machine. But I just use it so I know what the weather's
Really?
going to be like tomorrow.
So I can sleep in
Really?
a bit.
Really?
Right, yeah, like, that's the dumbest.
Yoshi.
Right.
Yoshi.
Fuck you, Mel Waters.
So here's
Remember when I was like
here's
this?
where it gets crazy.
Oh, shit.
Is it,
I thought we were there.
well,
We're not.
Yeah.
Now we are.
Yeah.
so
And then you went like
what they do,
that.
Dave? What was the next
And then you
course of
went
action?
this.
Ice was a
Yeah.
crazy experiment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The next step up from ice. Well,
Oh, yeah.
more ice?
Yeah.
No. Then you turn to your best piece of art in your diagnostic equipment.
A cat.
Yeah, but you can't catch cats. You're an idiot. It's great. So you catch a sheep. Because everyone knows that if you are doing a scientific
That's another
survey
one.
of an unknown and misunderstood phenomenon, the protocol is clear. One, the two bucket ice challenge. Then
Young?
It's important that flaming ice in
Young?
your
You feel
Right.
young?
Then you lower a sheep on a rope. A fucking sheep. What did they want to learn from that?
Well, I think they found out what they wanted to learn.
No. See, that's not how it works. You have to have an
No, you
idea
don't.
in your head,
All right.
of why you're
Yoshi.
lowering a sheep into a hole before you lower the sheep into the hole. If you are just putting a sheep in a hole to see what happens, then you're just fucking
Yoshi.
around.
If it were me, I would want to see if the sheep lived or died.
Well, how would the sheep be dying in your mind?
Well, that would be something we could talk about after the
Yoshi.
sheep.
No. It can't be, because if you have
Yoshi,
to
where's
know
the
what you're
mama
testing
cat
for
at?
before you perform a test.
Yoshi.
You can't, because then you just don't know what the fuck's going
I'm
on.
hoping that there would be evidence of
Oh,
why,
you're fucked. If you
of
don't
what
have a
killed the sheep if it died.
So if
And if it didn't die, then let's put a first person down there.
So if
Yoshi.
you're concerned that perhaps there's gas in the hole, a very legitimate concern. The sheep is very heavy. A cage with a small bird in it is very light.
Maybe they didn't have any.
No, they don't live in the Yakutsk province of Siberia.
They're poor Basque people that are living in Nevada.
What's cheaper, a sheep or a fucking parakeet?
Good point.
Like, none of this makes sense. So, okay, and I am arguing from the future to try to change the past. I'm not Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm not the police of the time stream. I'm just going to sit here and hover in my tight underpants.
There's never enough time.
Is he Spanish?
Shut up.
Belgian accents are impossible. No one can touch them. It's like a Russian Frenchman. I don't.
Yoshi.
All right. Well, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So
Who isn't making that argument?
because it's a bunch of fucking morons, they've decided a sheep is the next best
They
diagnosis.
were sheep herders. They had sheep coming out their ears.
They didn't have flashlights. They
Maybe
didn't have
the sheep had killed another sheep, and it was
It deserved
justice.
They're like, if you survive, we're
No,
gonna set you
sheep.
free.
It's like a witch. He's a witch sheep.
Yeah. Your debt's been paid. Sheep witches.
All right, so let me tell you what happened to the sheep. The poor fucking sheep got scared to death and panicked.
I hope it shit on them.
I'm sure it did. They put it in a crate. They finally got it over the hole, and no sound. Couldn't hear anything anymore. The crate was still
Rocking and
rocking and rolling.
Wolf Manhunt, though.
But they lowered it down there, and they apparently they're putting it down 1,500 feet. To me, that seems like a long way. But
Yes.
anyway, 1,500 feet they go down.
All part of a quarter mile.
And after feeling a strange fuzzy vibration in the middle rib, they left it down there for half an hour, and then they pulled it back up. So,
My name is Bill
So
Walters.
why can
I've written a book
why
about
can
my
I
experiences.
understand?
It's called
But
Microwave
Kanye West can't.
Codes.
so
It's
they
it's
looked
such
at
a
the
fucking
sheep.
mockery.
It was clearly dead. They couldn't see anything wrong with it, so they decided to cut it open and see if they could, see what they could see.
So they could just eat it because they were idiots. I don't know.
Well, they cut it open, and the inside looked cooked. All right, and then they saw this strange gel surrounding a big tumorous
Cook,
growth.
cook. What is it? A lamb?
They removed the tumor, which appeared to be kind of like this fleshy bag.
Right.
This, they cut it open, and this creature emerged that looked, according to them, like this cross between a fetus and a seal, complete with flippers apparently.
Right. This is what I like most about this. But the thing is, while you, the ignorant listener, are feeling revulsion at this moment, no. If you were there, you'd see that it had the deepest soul eyes.
Human eyes.
Human eyes, and they just stared at it for up to 2 hours. They just were held by its soft, gentle eye contact.
It apparently was connected to this tumor with an umbilical cord, which it disconnected itself from.
That was the exact word. It disconnected, so it just went like, it was like, oh, it had these sad, soulful eyes, and then it just like slowly went inside.
Shout out to the barbaric colors.
It apparently looked at all the guys that were standing there with reverence, and then it gave Waters this feeling of being in the presence of a miracle.
Super low sound. Is such a thing even possible? Yes, it is. No, it is not.
But Suklo said, and And then one of the guys was like, let's kill it.
Yeah.
Probably the most sane guy around. They didn't. In fact, it crawled over to the edge of the table, looked at Waters, who seemed to feel connected to it. And he apparently felt compelled to pick it up and put it on the ground, which he did.
Yeah, mind control.
Here's one thing. It said that whatever the substance that was on the creature it smelled like ozone. And that's when everybody just sort of stared at each other for a couple hours. and then it goes over to the hole, gets up on the thing, on the rim, looks back at him, gives him one of the old bye, see if there's nods, and just jumps back in the hole.
Of course. So it's gone forever.
And apparently everybody was emotionally drained but deeply moved. And then Mel comes back from Nevada. And guess what, Dave? Remember that esophageal cancer that he had?
Yeah.
Oh. Remember that divorce he was going through? Still divorced. Well, 1 out of 2.
That was really like, no, fixed it.
He said that one of the Basque elders told him they thought the hole was spiritual. He wasn't surprised about the story of this creature. And then apparently he put an object in Mel's hand, told him not to look at it, to put it away. And then that's when Mel, when he gets home, he remembers what it was and reached into his pocket and he pulled out a little red envelope wherein contained what, Dave?
1943 Roosevelt dimes.
Correct.
Okay. You know, I should have said this back then, but it just reminded me of it. So, you know what you call a Basque gentleman who just moved to the United States, who just immigrated? You call him a Basque gentleman. Do you know what you call a 5th generation from that guy?
An American?
Yeah, some trash Nevadans. That's what you call them. We're the Basque. We moved here in 1800, and 200 years later, we have done nothing to assimilate. No, that's bullshit. They're just a bunch of fucking people living in the desert in Nevada. they're carrying no cultural identity. They are not holding the torch for their brothers, who they abandoned, by the way, when shit got real. It's not like they hauled ass back to Spain.
They were sending checks back. That's why they were poor.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
All right. Listen to the bullshit police on this.
Yeah, me.
All right. So let's crank this up a little bit.
Crank it.
December of 2002. This was one more time on Coast to Coast.
Our buddy, Muddy Waters, comes back on the radio.
Comes back on. Says that helicopters have been flying over that village with the hole pretty regularly.
On the rig.
And then apparently the metallic collar around the hole became invisible when an observer reaches a particular distance away from it.
Is that distance like farther than you'd be able to see it? Just curious. Now this is to make this clear, this is an entirely new hole. This is the Basque hole.
Yeah, this isn't his. Yeah. This isn't Mel's.
Mel's hole had stone around. This was the metal hole. We have never found Mel's original hole again. It's lost to history and governments.
Right.
Because although it was
History and Men in Blacks.
although it was exactly where he lived, he can't find it again. Even though it was his home fucking address, he can never return there or tell anyone where it was.
The dime.
Yeah.
This apparently disappears at 15 feet away.
Oh, I think a lot of dimes disappear right in that range.
And then he gives an update about that burning ice.
Oh, yeah?
Said that the guy who was using it put it in his stove in the cooler months, and he noticed that things started getting drier and drier. He was getting thirsty. His skin started getting dry. The air felt dry around him. He put some water on the stove to try and humidify it, but it just seemed like all of the moisture was getting absorbed by this ice.
By his ever-burning ice.
And then he came home one day, and the stove had crashed through the floor and had sunken a foot into the ground. All right, so he patches it up. He's like, well, it sucks, but it's my stove.
Perfectly good stove.
Yeah. So he kept using it, even though it was sitting a foot below his floor. But then a couple weeks later, the whole cabin disintegrates. So what's he do? All right, he's out, gonna live with friends. Just leaves it there. And then about a month later, he comes back, and the stove is now about 5 feet down into the ground. And apparently, it leaves a glassy, smooth surface on the hole that it created. That's when he called up old Melly Waters and
Yeah, because at no point up till then would you. It wasn't weird until then. But he wants to get that oven back. He wants that stove back.
so they bring a team up there to try and get this stove out, get, this burning ice out. This guy, the masked guy, hides up in the woods, up in the hills. He wants to just watch what's going on, just see what the deal is. And he doesn't know what if they're scientists or if they're military folks or engineers or whatever. But he said they bring out this construction equipment with cranes and everything. They try to lift it out, and nothing's working. And apparently this is I hate to say this is a weird part, because what the fuck has this episode been so far? Right. They drop some chains into the ground, pour water over them, and then with multiple cranes, they hoist the stove out of the ground and load it onto this huge fucking gigantic truck and then haul it away. The way Mel describes it is as of Kurt Vonnegut's book,
Cat's Cradle.
Have you read that?
No. I read Timequake and Slaughterhouse.
Yeah. But there's a substance in this book called Ice 9, which is a form of water molecule that freezes at high temperature and converts surrounding water to the same form of molecule. And he compared it to that.
Yeah, I love this, that he calls it a theoretical substance. But the word you're looking for is a fictional. There's a difference.
It has the ability to freeze all water on Earth and turn people into statues in the book. But, apparently, it's not too far off from being impossible, according to scientists that Kurt Vonnegut worked with. Not Mel, but, the substance in the book, anyway.
Right, but that's Mel's opinion of Kurt Vonnegut's science friends. Entropy. Yeah, it doesn't. It isn't possible. There's no I've got one droplet of chemical Zorblock, and if I drop it, then it's going to convert everything else to chemical Zorblock forever and ever until we're all gone and dead. It doesn't work like that. Nothing works like that. Actually, take it back. Early nuclear reactions, they were worried that there would be a chain reaction that would destroy the entire planet.
Well, anytime any scientific research is being done, they worry that it's going to destroy the planet.
It doesn't stop.
CERN is going to destroy it any day now.
I'm okay with that.
We're going to get sucked into that tiny black hole. And then Mel brings up that he's getting a little paranoid. He's under the impression he's being followed. He says he doesn't want to go back to the hole now because he's afraid that people might find their way to the hole from him. And then our friends, the masks, told Mel that this creature, the little love seal, has emerged from the hole multiple times and
Waved at him.
And there's babies. They found a way to communicate with it, and apparently it speaks not just through empathy, not just through emotion, but through a boombox
with sweet beats,
with sweet clicks and buzzes and
beats, great beats.
But when they tried to,
when asked how easy it was to communicate with them, the masks only replied, "It's tricky."
They tried to record it, but it just came back as beeps and bloops and.
No, that's too bad. They tried they tried that. What they should have done is lowered a sheep onto the boombox. See if that helped.
But this creature warned them about this burning ice, and he said it can and would destroy the Earth in a very short amount of time if improperly used. And it said that greedy and undisciplined use of the ice would probably occur in this world, and that there are intelligent beings in other worlds who anticipate that the human race will destroy itself through nuclear war, and they plan to move in once we're gone and use the ice on this planet. And Waters was told that when the burning ice is discovered in the universe, it's almost always improperly used.
So just keeping your home warm. not proper use.
letting it sink into the ground.
Right.
And so that was about the last that we heard of Mel Muddy Waters.
Oh, well, I mean, but here's the thing. The saga lives on.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone this whole thing starts with a big hole in the ground. People throw their trash. Now, there's creatures coming in and out of the hole, warning us of our own impending doom.
Via burning ice.
But via burning ice. Well, that's when 2005 rolls around, and you get a lady named Kimberly.
Hi, Kimberly.
And technically, usually I'm inclined to trust Kimberly's, but maybe I can't anymore. I hope this doesn't ruin everything.
What's Kim's background?
Well,
She always been in Iowa?
well, no, her family came down from Kent.
Oh my God! From Manitoba?
No, so she called the Art Bell Show with a similar story that she's got a Manitoba hole.
Manitoba, Canada.
Yep. And one of her ancestors was in the Canadian military and was stationed in the area in the 1700s, which is a hell of a maneuver considering that there actually was no Canada in the 1700s, and it was either a French territory or, in the later part of the century, a British territory as a result of war. So, well done. I think hell of a fucking maneuver there.
I'll tell you what, I listened to some of this one, and I do think that she said it was British. It was a British civilian.
Okay, the account that I have listed, she said that was the Canadian.
Right.
So the natives showed him the Manitoba hole, and they said that it is where spirits dwelt. They would occasionally come up out of the hole, and you could hear them. And eventually, because her ancestor claimed the land all around it, which I'm sure the natives were delighted to hear. Finally, some white management up in this place. The land was passed down through the family.
How was this hole similar or dissimilar?
Well, it was similar in that it was a deep hole. Deep hole. It was dissimilar in that it was no longer under United States jurisdiction, and that's a problem. There's a whole gap.
A whole set of things. It was also 30 feet in diameter.
Yeah,
Pretty big.
Yeah, it's a big ass hole. So that's bigger than both other holes combined, maybe even multiplied. It was lined with a cream-colored retaining wall, which resembled finely polished marble.
So another wall.
Yep, and it was so hard it could not be damaged or scratched, no matter what they did to it. And also, the stone lining, it did not resemble any of the other regional stones, according to her, and it did not extend above ground level. Now, Kimberly and her brother had dug down a few inches at the hole's edge to measure how thick the wall itself was, and she figured it to be about 2 feet thick. And was just as smooth on the outside as Billy D. Williams is on the inside. Okay,
Come on, Siri. Get the hyperjet.
Well, what have we here? I used to have that as the text sound on my phone. It was awesome. What have we here? Now, Kimberly, thank you, Kimberly, for being the first person to chuck a fucking flashlight down their mystery hole. And again, no indication how deep the hole was or if it even had a bottom. Apparently, for about 50 yards around the hole, no wildlife sounds could be heard, no insects, just a dead silence. Weird. Yeah, with a couple of animal mutilations thrown in for taste.
Yeah, just on the outside of that cone of silence, I think.
Yeah. Oh, there was the humming. There was a humming, kind of buzzing thing. There was the lights in the sky, and no, as far as this one goes, no claims of the dark anti-light pillar shooting out of it. So she's got that going for her.
She also found this weird little smooth ebony pyramid, she said. And she said in the interview, she says she found it on its side. Also, they couldn't get to it very easily. Had to hike. Couldn't drive to this one.
Yeah, no.
For an hour.
There's always a reason you can't get to it. Either you can't find it even though it was your home fucking address, or you have just sworn to never again go to it, which is convenient. And the only other people that know about it are never named group of Basques, or, and I think Kimberly, again, is ahead of the curve here, just appeal to people's laziness. You'd have to walk for like an hour.
That cuts out 75% of Americans.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's in Canada.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's not the barrier she hopes it'll be. The most educated country in the world.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Per capita college degrees.
You know how you can tell? They're warm welcome to Syrian refugees.
That's right. And electing a fine young man for prime minister.
Way to go, Canada. You're killing it.
You're doing well. You're on the right track.
Yeah.
That's Kimberly's hole. That was so that's trace holindos.
That's
for you.
3 holes. You heard about the first hole? It felt good. You heard about the second hole? It felt even better. You heard about the third hole and it hurt so bad it wouldn't let go. It's a story of a traveling leather pants salesman.
Super ego?
Nope. Mr. Show.
So I don't know if you, the listener, have picked up on the thick layer of I don't know, what would you call it, Dave? Sarcasm? that we've slanted this in?
Not sarcasm. Hostility?
Maybe.
I mean, at least for me, outright derision.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go through some logic in this, shall we?
It has no place here.
I don't guess it does. But before we peel back the cover and see what we've won
Fair enough.
in this Cracker Jack toy, lots of people apparently have gone looking for these holes. No one has found it.
No hole hunters.
There has yet to be a hole finder. You know what? Hey, why don't you and I get a History Channel show?
Right. Called Hole Hunts.
Hole hunters.
The whole truth.
The whole
No. It's an American audience. The Whole Truther. There you go. So it's like not only are we searching for these holes, but we're also punching holes in the liberal agenda along the way.
We just call it holy sh. Nice. Let's just call it. You've got history's number, right? So nobody's found this thing. Mel Waters. Who is he? Nobody knows.
Yeah, the funny thing is that there are no tax records of Mel Waters living anywhere in that part of the state of Washington at any point.
So this could only mean 2 things, Dave.
Well, I mean, it means one thing. Government cover-up. That's it.
All right. Just government cover. It could either mean that he's using this guy who's using a false name, or
Protect himself. Government cover-up. Oh, yeah, he could be protecting himself against the government cover-up.
the government
Misinformation.
The government could have just wiped him from the record books. Honestly, I truly believe the government can do that if they wanted to.
Yeah, no, you can. I mean, they're the ones in charge of the records. So, yes. I mean, the Witness Protection Program does it all the time.
Right. So, that wiping a person from existence isn't that far of a stretch. But you know what? Let's keep going.
Why not?
Dave, how hot does it get down in the earth there?
Real hot.
Yeah, it gets hot. Now, depending on where you are, going down through the Earth's crust, that'll skew the data a little bit, But generally, if you get an average decline down in there, it'll go up about 70 degrees Celsius every 2,000 meters. Now,
That's over a mile.
oh yeah, 70 degrees is 158 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's only 126 degree change. So if for our American friends,
Every 2,000 meters you go down, the temperature goes up 126 degrees.
exactly, that's every 1.2 miles. That's a big increase.
Yeah, that's a huge increase, and you're going to notice it. And there are other places on Earth where you don't have to go nearly so deep to notice it. The Dead Sea, for example, you can boil a motherfucking egg in that thing. Yeah, it gets hot at the bottom of that thing.
So it definitely depends on where you are. And Dave also had to give me a math lesson, by the way. Math, man. If there was one subject I would just kick right in the dick, it would be math. And that not because I'm better than it, but because it is better than me. And in fact, Washington State. Well, let's think about that then. If he's going down 15 miles, that's probably about 16 times 128, then, right? At that point,
Yeah,
which is odd.
yep. And there's
Kind of the line not built.
right. There's a lot of other uses for something like this. Thermal boreholes are considered a way to store energy in the form of warm water. There's also
the actual theoretical work, not fictional work that you just want to call theoretical because it sounds better, about terraforming. As a matter of fact, for if you want to increase the radiant temperature of a planet, dig yourself some boreholes, literally leach heat from the core of the planet,
provided the core is moving and still warm.
Well, yeah, very true.
Got you off the Mars.
But especially if that planet has moons, say Phobos and Deimos, that are great tidal forces that will continually create freaking energies.
One of which is tearing apart. Yeah, good point. Washington State apparently runs 65,000 to 130,000 feet thick. So that's about in that 80,000 range that he's talking about. Anyway, how far can we go down?
Oh,
You want to go down on Mills?
I don't know. I have no idea how far you can safely go down.
Here's the deal. It's estimated the crust of the Earth is 20 to 30 miles thick. Someone actually called in and said, you know what, the deepest thing that we know of is the Marianas Trench in the Pacific Ocean. That's 36,000 feet. So 80,000 feet would be a hell of a maneuver. Yeah. And current mining technology could only go down at that time about 16,000 feet. Right now, the deepest mine in the world is the Tautona gold mine in South Africa, which measures 3.9 kilometers deep.
How deep is that in miles?
In miles, that would be 2.4, not nearly 15. One thing that I found interesting, again, I'm going to link to the show notes about the Google image, the map, the Google Earth. There's a place on the Google Earth map for these coordinates where this is supposed to be in Monastish Ridge. That does look like a big round flat area, just a big round flat feature right in that part. Now, the funny thing is, you can also look at different satellite maps, and the Bing map has an aerial image that shows the same thing.
If you're gonna hide something, hide it in Bing Maps.
Just Bing it.
No one will ever know. Sorry, Johnny Robots, who is the world's biggest fan of Bing searching things.
If you look on that one, though, you can see the same thing, this round, flat, brownish feature on the topography. It does look like there's a road leading to it, like a little dirt road. It doesn't really show up, but if you go back to the Google Maps, you can sort of see, now who knows if that's confirmation bias, but you can sort of see the same kind of outline of a little road, and it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying it's evidence for anything. It's just like, that's funny.
Yeah, but someone has been there for any reason whatsoever.
Sure. They hold their late night rodeo back in the back roads of Monastish. But what we're left with is, obviously, a man who's perhaps using a false name, calls a radio show, and tells a story that is 100% unverifiable. People have since called, this is the funny part, people have since called Coast to Coast. One of them, one funny story, they claim to be a guy named Gordon F., who was working on portal technology.
Oh my God. Are you sure it would be even better if Cave Johnson called?
My name is D. Newcomb.
I want more Portal games just to hear more Cave Johnson ads and stuff. God, he's the best.
This was apparently a big old prankster who had one fine jig. he was pretending to be Gordon Freeman from the video game Half-Life, and I think this was George Norrie days. It may have been our day. I forget if this was the transition period or what, but whoever Coast to Coast, whoever was running it, they fell for it. And then even somebody else, even after that, called and told about a dream that was apparently the storyline of Fallout 3. So people called in working with these guys all the time. And Coast to Coast is just a platform for people to spout their stuff. So, I mean, I say kudos to them for listening, because like you and I do, we'll listen to what people have to say. But if they're talking about a hole that shoots out black shadow beams and has alien babies that give them a googly feeling in their stomach,
The baby literally looked at them and they saw the baby.
we're going to call bullshit.
Yeah, which I think is kind of why we do this. It's just like a thing that exists out there that was never in the Tri-County area of real, but it's out there. People like to discuss it, and there's I found a lot of really good articles. There's a guy who is actually a geologist who is from that part of Washington. Okay, and was like, wait, what? It's not really possible. There's a what? Yeah, well, we can't really be that deep around here. Nothing you're saying is lining up. He's like, but I do know, because he grew up in the area. He's like, well, there's a gold mine, an old one, over here. I used to go to when I was a kid. And look, here it is. He like took people. He's like, this is, it's a deep hole. It's not. It's like it's like unfathomable.
There needs to be
Right,
more
it's not
lesbian
insane.
cartoon
It's like
characters.
he said
And
it was
wait. I
It's
don't
like, it's a
mean
deep hole.
like hot lesbian. I mean
It's
butch
not-
lesbian cartoon
It's not
characters.
magic.
Like,
But and he'd also.
I was thinking, there's that gay cat that's like, oh my god. Like, I don't know how to describe it. That impression that guy was doing, whatever it is, it's like, like
this guy was like, oh,
it's not sucker and suck attached, but it's like suck attached. It's like this weird.
For a living,
I don't know.
He was like,
I'm trying to think of
there's
what it
this
is.
thing right here. That's it. Yeah. So that was.
It's like,
And again, with any conspiracy,
not
that
at
was the
all.
government
It's like,
guy
I mean,
trying to
New
drive
York,
off the trail. They're
really, yeah.
mysterious shootholes.
but it's like gay.
There's really telecommunications.
I think a butch version of that cat would be like.
I kept picking up from both Mel
How many
and
butch
even a
versions
little
of
bit
any fucking
Kimberly
character
when
are
she called in, and maybe I'm being judgmental, but it seemed like
It's
they
more
had
butch
balked
shit.
at the idea of anybody actually coming out there to check it out.
Right, and that's the thing. Every
Chicks with fishing
single point
lures,
in all of their
vests,
stories, there's always a
glam.
reason you can't go and look at it. And Art Bell himself was like, I'll go. Yeah, I got a camera. Fucking A right. Let's do this, idiots.
He absolutely offered to do it in person. They never got any picture evidence of this, I don't think. They never got any video or recording or...
Yeah, and you've got this guy, our buddy Mel, whose life has been just turned upside down and inside out by his association with this bedeviled hole, but never go to it, and I'm never going to help you find it, and I'm never going to let anyone take a look at it. Right, these people.
I've been given $250,000 for every month for years, but then they just wiped my bank account.
Yeah, now it's all gone. And I was still riding in a bus prior to them doing that. And also I used to live this Flora. I can find my house no matter what. I know where I used to live. I can take you to every place I've ever lived. The fact that he can't find it where he lived, that's no, man. None of that. It dies right there. And I think that that's why he had to keep adding things to his story, because people call into that show because they enjoy the attention of being on the air. And this guy told enough of a story to warrant a follow-up, and then he had to keep feeding the beast.
Could be. Now, I got one last thing here to really rustle your jimmies.
Man, my jimmies are sore from all the rustling.
I took it one step further in the research for this
Nice.
amazing
Yeah, because
story.
if there's one thing this topic needed was more research.
I thought, well, maybe there's no such thing as a person named Mel Waters. What if that wasn't his name? What if it was an anagram?
Oh, Jesus. Did you, put this into an anagram machine, or did you come up with these yourself?
Of course. I don't know. Of course I put it in a machine. I can't think of all these. What if it wasn't Mel Waters? What if it was West Realm?
What if it was Mr. Ale Stew?
What if it was Wet Mars?
Pardon me, what if it was
El Wet Mars? Get your ass to El Wet Mars. What if it was warm sleet? Hey, burning ice.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh-oh. What if it was Wars Lit Me? Or, since it's coast to coast, guess what, Dave?
What?
Art slew me.
Oh, but what if 'twas Mr. Lee?
So, find a Mr. Lee of Washington.
Was it the Bobettes that sang that song?
I don't know.
Mr. Lee?
I don't know.
1, 2, 3. Again, Mr. Lee. I think it was the Bobettes. Yep.
There you go again. Why can't you ever sing like a 90s alternative rock song?
Because I like old music more. I'm an old man.
Oh my God! You know what? That'll do it for us.
Yeah, well,
For an extremely crazy subject.
it was the Bobettes. Damn.
I didn't disbelieve you. I know. I'm just glad that I knew it. But that's Mel's hole for you.
Uh-huh.
In a nutshell that's emanating warmth. You can't see inside of it. Turn on.